Welcome back to my channel where I discuss religion, philosophy, and esoterics. So, today's discussion is going to be the five arguments proposed by Thomas Aquinas for God. Modern engagement with Thomas Aquinas' arguments for God usually splits his five arguments into two types: cosmological arguments and the teleological argument, which is the fifth argument. This will not be our approach in this video, as the point of that approach is a simple, coherent presentation, while our point is a truthful understanding of his arguments. The only way of actually understanding his arguments is figuring out the origins of these arguments. As we all know, these arguments were originally formulated by either Aristotle, Plato, or the Muslim scholar Ibn Sina, then synthesized with Christianity. Let's start with these arguments. The first argument is usually called the argument of motion. This argument is directly from Aristotle. Some people usually struggle with understanding this argument either because they think it's wrong to think about this argument in a linear sense, or that they don't understand potentiality and actuality. The argument of motion is about the change from potentiality to actuality. Things with potential toward X have to be directed by an actualization of X for a change from potential to actual to happen. Potentiality toward X cannot produce a change toward the actualization without an actualization of X prior to it. We perceive change from potential to actual in our daily life, which could not have started by a potential. Therefore, it started with an actual. That actuality at the beginning of everything is God. If you did not understand that word salad, you can think about the question of the chicken and the egg before we know anything about evolution. Think about Aristotle interacting with that question. He would simply say that the chicken preceded the egg because actuality precedes potentiality. So far, in this argument, we've talked about actuality being prior to potentiality in the sense of time. But Aristotle, and probably Thomas Aquinas, also means it in the sense of a formula. What that means is this. For example, if I say that someone is capable of building a house as if it is one of his potential, we know that he has actually built houses before. Again, actuality precedes potentiality. The second argument is a simpler argument. It is the efficient cause, and it is also from Aristotle. The efficient cause is used in Aristotle to define what we may now call as physical causes. For example, if you dropped a bottle of water and someone then says, "Why is that water bottle on the ground?" and someone said that you caused it, he has identified you as the efficient cause. Now, the series of efficient causes must stop at something that is the efficient cause, but itself is uncaused. So we have an efficient cause for everything, but that efficient cause is itself is uncaused. Now, the reason why he believed that is obviously because he thought that infinite regress is contradictory. This is the second argument, and I don't really want to spend much more time on this argument because there isn't really that much more to it. Let's now start the third argument. The third argument gets confused because while it is Aristotelian in origin, it is more nuanced. And the reason is that it is formulated by Ibn Sina, a Muslim philosopher from Persia. It is the argument of necessary existence and contingent existence. The idea here is simple. If a house exists, then there is something that caused it, and there is something that continues on causing it. The builder of the house causes the house to exist, but what about after the builder leaves? What then is causing the house to exist? Now, for a philosopher in the 11th century and a follower of Aristotle, he would say, though by itself each element has a downward movement, when the elements are retained, they stand as upholders of the house. The actual cause realizing the form of a house is the superimposition of the elements which constitute the house and their intrinsic nature, which necessitates the persistence of the house having that form. I understand this is kind of a little bit difficult to understand. Let's take a modern interpretation to this, as it would make it easier to understand. Everything in our existence is continuously dependent on the intrinsic forces of the universe, which are gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. The four forces continuously cause everything that exists in the universe. And that is the thing that he was referring to. Now, obviously, Thomas Aquinas, if we talk to him about modern reality, he would probably say, well, what do these stuff depend on? The fourth argument is the Platonic argument. It is quite complicated, and I don't want to spend that much time here, and I'll explain that later on. But it's simply that if you think that something is somewhat good, then you are measuring it against an ideal form. The form of goodness and the form of perfection is God. The fifth argument is simply that things that lack intelligence move in a rational and ordered way toward an end goal, which indicates an hidden hand guiding it. These things are stuff like animals, plants, and basically almost everything. And the hidden hand is obviously God. This is it for the argument. Thank you for watching this video. I apologize for shortening the fourth argument, but his fourth argument is basically Plato's argument for God, which deserves its own video. If you have any suggestion for future videos, leave it in the comment and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.